Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and Eid Mubarak. Welcome to this new episode of Comicbaj. Comicbaj is a channel where we try to cover comics from both Bangladesh and abroad. We have received a lot of messages demanding us to do reviews of US comics, and finally we are giving in. Today we'll be reviewing one comic which the animation of which we grew up with in the 80s and 90s. Yes, that's right. The trade paperback that we are going to review today is nothing less than He-Man, Thundercats. This comic came out in July 2017. This is actually a trade paperback. It covers issues 1 to 6 of the He-Man Thundercats limited series. It was written by Rob David and Lloyd Goldfine, and the artwork was done by Freddie E. Williams too. He-Man Thundercats was a project which we had been waiting for ages, decades in fact, and we're so glad that it has finally come out. We've got to see all those characters working it out in the battlefield together. And these two were my favorite cartoons back then, so when it came out, I knew that I would have to get it anyways. The story is very simple, Tara, Tandera, the people there would have to tackle Mumra, the ever-living, and Mumra gets defeated once again by the Thundercats. He's dejected, he does not know what to do, but then realizes there is one weapon which can actually turn the battle in his favor, and that is the Power Sword, which is wielded by none other than He-Man of Eternia. What Mumra does is, he goes back to Eternia and tries to get the sword, get it away, force it away from He-Man, and eventually he succeeds in doing so. But then again, Skeletor interferes. Skeletor of Eternia comes to Mumra and he takes over the sword. And then there's this interesting arrangement they come into whereby they both team up against the Thundercats and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, of course. And from then onwards, battle ensues. It's a huge battle. All the people are involved, be it the Masters or the Thundercats. And sometimes they're teaming up, sometimes they're working against each other. But at the end of the day, they have to work together to save both Eternia and Thundera. Now, do they succeed or do they not? For that, you would have to read that. He-Man, Thundercats. What I liked about this trade paperback is everything which we have dreamt of back in the 80s and 90s. You get all of it between these two covers. I mean, imagine He-Man and Lion-O fighting alongside, and also the Masters joining. We've always wanted comics, we've always wanted cartoons to come up with all these characters together, but unfortunately, we had not. So this was a long due thing, and we're so glad to have them here. I can show you some photos where you can see He-Man is actually fighting against the villains from both Eternia and Thundera. And it's the same with Lion-O as well. See, Thundercats are fighting against Skeletor and others. That is a dream come true. The nostalgia factor is too much to overcome, and I personally could not. I had been waiting for it. So this is a huge point which everyone would actually wanted, and finally we've got it. This nostalgia factor is the first thing. The second part is the story is written in such a way so that all the characters, almost all, of course they don't have Hordak or King Hiss coming from He-Man's world, but then again they do have Skeletor and Mumra, the main characters, the villains. They have tried to cover as many characters as possible, and it's actually so good. You get to see Man-at-Arms teaming up with Panthro and Tigra. You get to see Teela teaming up with Chitara and all other people. So that's something very interesting. We've wanted to see that. Gorgeous artwork here as well, which I would like to show. See here, the action. The fight between the good guys and the bad guys. That's amazing. And there's some experiment with some panels as well. And we've got 2-page spreads like the case here as well, where Lion-O is showing, actually coming up with the sight beyond sight for He-Man, for some reason which I won't reveal right now. And then there's this huge 2-page spread where they both join hands together to fight the villain. So yeah, the artwork is amazing, and if you're fans of Freddie E. Williams too, then you know how he is, you know what to expect, and he delivers in style. And as far as Rob David and Lloyd Goldfine's storytelling is concerned, I told you that they have covered almost all the characters, and they have tried to focus on each and every character as much as possible. Best part is not in the actions in this trade paperback. It's about what happens to Mumra and Skeletor, how they deal with each other, how their interactions are. That is so funny, and a particular villain's fate is... you have to read it. It's very interesting and it's very funny. I literally had to close the book and stop and laugh my heart out for some time. It's that funny. Yeah, I know, in an action comic, you don't expect such moments, but there are very interesting moments, including what happens to one of the main villains and how ultimately they defeat them in the end. That's very interesting. The things which I think could have been improved a bit are minor, and I'm simply nitpicking here. First of all, it's the fact that I don't like He-Man's hair here. He-Man's hair, as you can see here, it looks okay here in the cover, but when you see some close-ups, you would see that He-Man looks a bit different. Like here. What's with this hair? It might be okay for you, but I would have preferred something better, closer to the original. And another thing is that, which I think could have been improved, is the inclusion of She-Ra. Now we know She-Ra is the twin sister of Prince Adam, but she's nowhere here. Of course, you have to think twice and come up with a bigger storyline that would probably take more than six issues to cover, but we would have, at least I would have liked it better if She-Ra was there. Other than that, it's absolutely fine. So we are talking about He-Man and Thundercats. It's a 160-page trade paperback with some artwork at the end by Freddie Williams. And of course, in the back cover, you have a summary of the whole thing. This is available in Amazon around $11 to $12. It's also available online in any of the websites where you can find it. You should go grab it, especially if you had grown up with all these cartoons in the 80s like me. I loved it. And if you ask me to rate this, I would rate He-Man and Thundercats 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you. That was all the review that we had today. If you like our videos, please like, comment, or subscribe to our Comicbaj channel. Until next time, see you soon. Eid Mubarak once again.